Good morning, Facebook land. I usually like to get on here and share some really great information as the information that I've been exposed to and put to work in my life has been such a great benefit in so many ways. But today I'm getting on here to make a statement for my friend, Tony Robbins. And I'm taking this time for a couple of reasons. There's a few people that seen my first video that I put out when BuzzFeed started their vendetta against Tony. And I pointed out that, look, they didn't even interview the key people that are involved. I was the director of safety and security for Tony, and I've been with him for the last 14 years. But they continued to go on, and they continued to attack his character. They continued to cite a gentleman named Gary King. They continue to cite that there are several other people, and then they take bits and pieces and fragments of a event, and then they turn them into something that something is just simply not. And they're reaching out and they're talking to people and they're creating a language around Tony that is just not in character with him. And so I wanted to get in here and make a couple of statements. And number one is that I'm here. There's no benefit to me. I resigned from Tony's organization in March for personal reasons. And every business grows and every business changes and every business has things that they can improve upon. Yet, if you're not willing to stand for your principles, then you should be really examining yourself, not the people that you work for. So I don't think Tony's perfect, and I don't think his organization is perfect. But I do think that he does the very best that he can, and that he does get in there and fix as many things as he possibly knows how to do. So I just really want to state I'm not doing this because it's making me better in the organization or in Tony's eyes or anybody else. I'm doing this because it's a matter of character. We're trashing a man's character off of fragments of truths that are being misinterpreted. So the latest volley that they threw out there is about a business mastery event and how Tony belittles people and makes them wear an L on their head and drink this drink that's set up to cause them discomfort. And the funny thing is business mastery is a fabulous event, because what it does is it opens your eyes to look at it. It's not the marketing that you need to do that you're not doing. It's not the accounting that you're not doing. It's not the culture that you're not doing. It's your psychology. It's the way that you're showing up. And a lot of people are showing up with a psychology that is basically getting their butt kicked in the marketplace because they've got all of these limiting beliefs. And so it's really, business is 80% of your psychology. And so he gives you the ways that you could possibly come and increase your psychology and the way that you look at situations by advancing the paradigms in which way you see the world. And so that's really what it's about. But it's also about helping people to go, look, if you've ever been in business, if you've ever gone out and started a business and had employees and had a product and had buildings and had all of those types of things, if you've ever had that, if you think drinking a drink or having a loser on your forehead is humiliating, go through a bankruptcy. Go through screwing up in your marketplace and having people reject you. So the platform of going through business mastery and being exposed to, look, if you make mistakes, there's a price that you're going to pay, is huge. And there isn't something that you can do from a stage that will get that point across in a better way that, look, guys, if you go out and do the wrong things at the wrong time with the wrong people, it can be painful. It can be very painful. And when somebody cares enough about the human race to say, look, guys, there's got to be some way to get you to see that, look, when you don't pay attention to why you're in business, these are some of the pains that you can go through. So to bring up something as silly as that is again, I think, it's a representation of their character. Also, there keeps being these allegations of Tony and misconduct and those types of things. And again, I'm speaking for myself. I'm not speaking for Tony. I don't have his permission to be here. I'm doing this because I think it's the right thing to do. So, I've been in proximity of Tony. I've been outside of his door of his room. I've went in and made sure that every place that he stayed is safe and protected. Every event that we've gone to, that he is very well taken care of. So proximity wise, if there was something going on, I would have seen it. And what I can tell you is there were lots of people that were offering all kinds of things, attempting to get close to Tony. There were all kinds of people that had conceptions of that, hey, if you do this or if you do that, then, maybe I'll get to be famous like Tony too. Yet none of those people were actually willing to pay the price of getting out there and being criticized like Tony's been for 40 years. None of them were actually willing to get up and put in 20-hour days for 300 days straight in a year. So, I'm not saying that Tony's a perfect person. There was a time that between his marriage to Becky and before he dedicated his life to Sage, that he even exposes that, look, he was playing the field, he was doing different things, and there were plenty of women that were volunteering their company or services or anything else to Tony at that time. And so for people to say, oh, well, it was missed this or it was missed that, that's just not the whole truth. That's the people also not taking responsibility for what they put themselves into. I think that really wraps Gary into this as well. The people that follow Tony are following Tony because what he teaches actually exists inside of each and every one of us every day. There are things that we inherently know, and the reason that it resonates with people is because we already have it. It was something that we were born with. The universe gave it to us right from the beginning. And if you'll actually look past Tony Robbins, look at the principles that he teaches, instead of going, is Tony perfect? Look at the principles that he teaches. Being honest about something and saying, hey, business is a painful sport. And if you play it wrong, you're going to get bumped up and bruised. I think is pretty noble of somebody to take the time to put something together that says, hey, it's important to give people a head start. So I really think that those are some things that, BuzzFeed ought to look at. You also look, the more that they attack Tony, the more that he does to give back, the more that he does to say, hey, I'll do things to help people. And he does. The Underground Railroad here in Utah and, the Feed a Billion, all those things are true. Those are things that he does. Those are things that he's contributed to and will continue to contribute to. But if you look, he's not lashing out. He's not beating them up to say. He's not pointing out all the inconsistencies. He's not pointing out these two young ladies that have been writing this, that are from London that have no idea. They're taking fractions. I've seen these people. They never spoke to me. They never talked to me. They never asked me about any of these things. But they go and they talk to somebody like Gary, and Gary, Gary had a position for 25 years, the same position that I carried. And for 25 years, he not only had influence, he had responsibilities. And if things were what Gary represents, then why didn't he walk away? Why didn't he do something about it while it was going on? He had all the power to do it. He was in a specific spot that had more influence than anybody else. I know I held that spot. And if something wasn't right, then you resign, you walk away. You say, no, I can't do that because it's a character flaw. But that's not what Gary did. Gary stayed there. And as the business changed and molded and it grew, one man couldn't handle the things that were needed to be done. And so as the organization grew and some of the responsibilities that were underneath Gary's charge got changed, Gary got mad. And as he got mad, he started finding things that he could point out. And he'd say, this isn't right, and this isn't right, and this isn't right. But he wasn't willing to walk away. He wasn't willing to say, you know what, this isn't right, and I'm willing to walk away. He waited until all of the things that he was doing, he had been replaced at. And when he got replaced, he got mad. And when he got mad, he started lashing out. He's hurt. He's simply hurt. And he starts lashing out. which is the exact point that Tony's been making about people all along, is look, you take little things and then you lash out and you want to tear somebody apart because you're hurt. Well, it's never Tony's intention to hurt Gary, and it's not the organization's that's there to hurt Gary. Gary started complaining. Gary started picking at things that he wouldn't have normally done, and he started lashing out at people. That's why Gary was no longer in the organization. It wasn't because Gary was willing to walk away and say, oh, well, here's all of these injustices and this needs to be fixed and it needs to be changed. That's not why Gary left. Gary left because he was removed of responsibilities, because he got involved in the drama and he started spreading things around, and he became a cancer in the environment, just like he's becoming outside in the environment in the world. So I'm getting on here, I'm making these statements because the fact of the matter is Tony Robbins isn't doing anything more than saying, hey, humanity, instead of being stuck in a society full of hate, if we actually loved one another, if we actually looked at our responsibilities, ours, how are we showing up? How are we acting? And I would throw that right back at BuzzFeed. You know, you're saying you're doing good reporting and you're doing good news. Are you? Are you looking at how you're doing this? Are you really looking deep and going, what's really going on? Because I don't think you are. Because the people that are closest to him, you didn't even talk to. So the opportunity is there and it's been there. And I'm on here, and I hope that you guys help me get this to go viral in the name of Tony. Stand with Tony. Stand up for what's right. You know what? All of us have made mistakes, and I'm sure that Tony's made mistakes. But I guarantee you that that man has given more than just about anybody that I know. And if he was put in a position to help, he's going to help. So that's the type of person we want out there. That's the example of leadership that we want out there, that is challenging people to be the best they can be, to be the best they can be. Not to defend themselves, not to make excuses, not to blame the world, not to say, oh, well, the only way that I can get even with another group of people is to chastise and tear them apart and point out how horrible they are. But to say, you know what? We're all human beings and we're imperfect. And that's what makes us perfect. We're innocent. We're doing the best we can with what we've got. And if we actually practice those principles today, if we actually did those things that Tony actually teaches, and they don't belong to Tony. They're not just Tony. You know, they're things that have been around for hundreds of thousands of years. All he's doing is he's found a way that's really touching people's lives. And it is millions of lives. And if you look at all of the people that have stood up and said, you know, Tony has touched our lives, you'd find that that number is huge. So, hey, BuzzFeed, I'm sorry that you guys feel like that the only way that you guys can build a business is to tear somebody else's down. But look, you're tearing at the wrong guy. If you want to find things wrong with him, go actually do some homework. There's things that you could find that you could actually do a good news story on and that you could be validated in doing. This stuff isn't it. This isn't the way to go. So I hope this helps everybody that's out there. And, you know, the purpose of this video is look, if you're judging Tony off of what's in the news, don't. Go learn the principles. The principles are true and correct, and they will change your life if you allow them to, if you embrace them and you use them. Cognitive knowledge is nothing. Application is everything. And just like Tony says, the rarest activity on the planet, is execution. And if it takes a shock, a jolt, something out of left field to give you that jolt so that you'll put it to work, then wouldn't you want it? Wouldn't you want to? Or you can get pissed off and you can blame him for the way that he had attempted to help you change your life. So thank you for taking the time to listen to this video. Again, you know, this is because I believe in the character that Tony Robbins represents, and I know the man. He does not in any way, shape, or form use or abuse women. There is nothing that he has put together in any of his events that is done out of malice towards anyone. Everything that he does has got a purpose and a result that he's shooting for, and it's all from a pure of heart. He believes in God, he believes in this universe, and he believes in you. Thank you.